We are live. Welcome to Unstoppable AF.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
St. Patty's Day.
We are Unstoppable AF with Karen Hall and Barbie Ray, and we are here to brighten your Mondays with great guests and a lot of funny. Karen, take it away and let's talk about our amazing guest today. I'm so excited, Janine Ford.
Yes, Janine Ford has built a successful 22-year career as a news anchor. She is a beloved news anchor of TV news, and we just got to know TV news through Janine. Her warm and infectious personality. She is just so loving, and she also is Miss USA. She was Miss Arizona before that.
A million years ago.
Yeah. And Janine and I have been friends for over 15 years. I just love Janine. And so Janine, thank you for being with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And I have to tell everybody, I love Karen because she sees the loving side of me. That's a little difficult, except for some people. I'm just kidding. she sees the good, and she sees the good in me, and I love that. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that people love so much about Janine is her charitable work. She is always doing charity work for people and rallying people to join her because she's such a leader, and she's so much fun. We just laugh every time we're together. She has two radio shows. She has the I Talk Voice of the Mountain and a morning show on 101.7 and 106.7 on I Talk Radio. So Janine, she's coming to us from her studio. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I just got off my morning show on 106.7 and that at 101.7. And that's an adult contemporary show that we do all kinds of fun stuff. And it's really funny because something that's taken off here with it is another anchor. He's right through the wall here. He's on our Q Country station, 92.5. And he started calling me for relationship advice. And then he also calls me Judge Janine, and I'll judge if somebody's being a jerk or not. Am I the jerk? I do that one too, jerk court. And so, but the relationship advice has really taken off, and it's really kind of hilarious when you consider my background, but it's funny. Yeah.
Well, why is that funny?
The background is running. Share that.
Well, because most of my advice is okay. Do this, maybe receive some counseling, and then always have your tennis shoes closed, put them on, lace them up, and run away. Right? Yeah. And Karen knows this. But I'm always like, hey, tell them you love them. It's all been good. It's been fun. It's been wonderful. But you know what? There's so many great people out there. Let's just move on. Get your tennis shoes on. Let's run and let's be happy. But leave nicely. Leave always nice. Be very nice and kind, and leave and run like hell. Yeah, and it's bad because I don't even realize that that's my advice on most of these cases. But yeah, it ends up being like that. Yeah.
I think your logo could have tennis shoes on it.
Yes. How to run in a nice, happy way. And just because I've always, my mom, back in the old days, a million years ago, my mom always called me her butterfly. And she said, that's what you do. You kind of, she goes, you light on somebody and it's all happy and beautiful and fun. And then you just fly away. So much for staying power, Yeah.
I don't know. 22 years as a news anchor, that's staying power, baby.
Yeah. No, I'm not as flaky as I sound. Yeah.
No,
you had already brought up your mom with your name. What is that?
What's that?
You already brought up your mom earlier when we were talking with
Janine. Yeah, the spelling. Please share that. She decided that she was a hippie. My mom was a major hippie, super cool. And it was neat to have that side because I'm pretty conservative, but she was this natural kind of hippie, live in the light all the time. She had this bright, beautiful spirit, but she always said, she goes, I wanted to be creative. So I wanted to name you Paris and call you Perry for short. And she goes, after your dad let me out of my straitjacket, he allowed me to name you Janine. So then I wanted it to be spelled wrong, so it would be different. So she spelled it. And the funniest thing about that, doing news for 22 years, do you know that I have come across 4 different people now, 4 people who have named their little girls Janine and spelled it the way I spell it. So I want to apologize for that. Yes. And then the worst part is that my name for short, I'm half Italian. My whole family calls me Gina. So because it was Janine, my mom was so smart. She called me Gina, spelled with a J, Jina. Well, do you know what that happens for you then when you're in first, second, third grade? Your teachers say, do I have in the first day of school, is there a Gina here in the room? Yeah. So that was fun. That was always fun to overcome. Jina. So bad. Yeah. And I would say to my mom, I'm like, Mom, why did you do that? And she's like, I wanted to keep you humble.
And that is so true. You are so humble and you are just so real. And that's what makes you so much fun.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Well, speaking of the news anchor days, tell us a funny story about, something that happened as a broadcast TV anchor.
Oh, there were so many. I mean, I had probably there was a fun story about research that had come out. And Kent Dana, who was a longtime anchor, I sat next to him for a zillion years in Phoenix there on the NBC affiliate. And he was wonderful. And he could not breathe after this one. It was how asthma and asthma conditions can be brought on by excess stress. Well, sometimes you turn and you have a soundbite. The doctor's speaking about excess stress bringing on asthma. And then the tag is where I turn to the camera and when you mess up one word, you girls probably know this, you botch one word and then you tend to try to correct hard and hammer and hit the next word harder so that you kind of try to correct yourself. Well, this one, the line says, I turn for the doctor and I say, doctors find that, excess stress can bring on, asthmatic attacks. And I turn and instead of excess, I turn and I say, and this was the word that messed me up, was extreme. I turned to the camera and said, and doctors find that extreme sex can bring on asthma, like that. And Kent Dana, then that's the end of the story for me. You don't even get to see me, but you hear me say, I mean stress, not sex, stress. I'm correcting myself. My mic's open. It's on his face. And he just bursts and he starts snort laughing. And yeah, the producer had to say, just get out of the segment. She closed our mics and went to break. Because when we would haul off and just make mistakes like that and start laughing, it was over. It was over. Yeah. He could never get us back. And then another time I could never get him back. We had you might remember reporter Connie Cola. She's sitting out live and she goes, she's squatting down talking to these protesters. And she says, instead of saying it's seen as a mass defection, she's squatting down next to the lady and she says, turns to Ken, she goes, this is seen as a mass defecation. So there were so many times like that were so funny. And I tried so hard. And Kent, when he would lose it, he would just slide his scripts in front of me and expect me just to keep going. And I was bad about snorting when I laughed hard. So it was bad.
You know what, Janine? I think that's what makes you so lovable.
Yeah, it's the snorts. Yeah. But at least those were the days where we were like impartial. It was a different kind of newscast. Yeah.
Okay, so here's one, Janine, that I think you would appreciate that, and Karen, you too. So my cousin was an anchor in Florida on a news station, and there was some big thing going at the zoo, and they sent her to the zoo. So she's at the zoo, and something with like the rhinos or something, and she's off center, and they put her name on the rhino's ass.
Okay, that is so good. And do you remember when they put up the big stack, the stack freeway system in Phoenix? It was called the stack. Okay, I'm standing there, and of course I'm really young, and I have a really tiny waisted dress on, and I'm facing forward, and I'm going live from the stack, and they Chiron, the letters underneath me, and the director starts laughing so loud they didn't take it down. I'm on reporting live from the stack, and it says Janine Ford right across my chest. Janine Ford, the stack. And I don't know, it's up there. I keep reporting. I'm going. I guess there was this screaming going on at the newsroom. News director calls out, "Get that off of her! Get that!" Yeah. So that's. And then the zoo, you mentioned the zoo. We had a girl, Shirley Bryce. This is a good one. Shirley was at the zoo, Phoenix Zoo, and the lemurs. She's at the lemurs pen. And Shirley Bryce, maybe I'm saying this, but she always covered our really serious reports. And this was a zoo, which was not her style, but she's reporting very seriously. And the lemur, she has these heavy beads on. The lemur, you see an arm reach into the shot, grab her by the beads, and starts to clothesline her up against the chain link fence. And he takes his other hand and he starts messing up her hair. Oh my gosh, it was just priceless. It was priceless. It was so funny to see the real stiff reporter, I'll probably get in trouble for that one, but she'll laugh. Yeah. So there's a lot of those moments. I mean, hundreds of moments like that,
Oh my gosh. I bet they didn't even laugh when you were gone.
They actually hired me. There was another anchor that sat with Kent Dana that was very serious, and he would say something and she'd give him a look like, oh, and then she just let it fall. They hired me. They said, we're kind of hiring you to add levity to the news. And I said, really? I wasn't sure that was a compliment or what that was. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a compliment. Like I said, that's why you were such a beloved news anchor.
But I did get death threats. I got death threats. Yeah. We'd have kickers at the end of our show, and there was a potbelly pig that this poor pig was dragging her belly. And I could not stop laughing because it was really funny. And oh my gosh, I got death threats over it. I laughed at this overweight potbelly pig lose weight. Yeah. And then we had a machine called a ratapult that would catch rats and then shoot it halfway across the city. That's how you get rid of the rats. And that one was, I thought it was hilarious, but
did not go well for animal lovers.
No, it was not good. Yeah. In defense of rats. Yeah.
How about you and Lynn Sue? I know you guys are good friends. Did you have any funny things with Lynn Sue?
She is so sweet because the thing about Lynn Sue is that she's an angel. Seriously, she became one of my very best friends, and she would always help me so much because I couldn't dress myself. As you can see, I still can't. And I'd bring in a couple blouses and I'd hold them up. She would go shopping, and she had my credit card so that she could find suits for me and things for me because I would match. I hated shopping, still hate shopping. And she would pick out my clothes for me, and I'd bring in two blouses. I said, this one or this one? She'd say, come over here for a minute. And she'd have like backups for me. She helped me. But I think the one story Kent Dana told in a long interview that he did, he said that Janine Ford and Lynn Sue Cooney are like my two sisters. He said, Lynn Sue is like my sister, that she's had her whole life planned out. She is so together, so organized, so perfect. And then there's Janine. She's the one that always has something dragging from her heel, like toilet paper. I'm like, and a missing button on her blouse. I'm like, Kent, that's all you could come up with. Yeah.
It has suddenly become apparent why Karen likes us both. Now I understand why we were both good friends of Karen.
There you go. Karen is an angel. She sees the good. Yeah.
You and I are very similar creatures.
You and I, sisters. And then Karen takes care of us. There you go.
I have also been the woman with toilet paper dragging from my shoe. I went into a meeting one time with someone that was an adversarial antagonist in my life, and it was just like really high stakes in this meeting. And I go into the meeting, and everybody is looking at me, just like looking at me, And then pretty soon, somebody starts laughing, and it turns into the snort laugh. And I have no idea why they're all laughing at me. And finally, the adversarial person points to me and says, you have toilet paper on your shoe.
Yeah.
Well, you knew it was going to be a crappy meeting.
Yeah. Well, and what's bad about that is I never really had toilet paper from my shoe. He just kind of thought that was kind of the whole picture he wanted to paint. The missing button on my blouse, yes, I always had one of those. They'd pop off. Or a missing earring, always missing an earring. I'd go on the air. We had the clip-ons years ago. I worked on my grandma's vintage ones, and we get more phone calls that I was missing one earring. Then I could do very serious stories, and they'd be going ballistic over that. Yeah.
You're just a trendsetter at nature. Everyone needs a missing button and a missing earring. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Get over it already.
Well, and one of the things about you is you were able to build that rapport, with some very challenging stories. Tell us about some of your challenging stories that you used your humor to connect with people.
Well, some of them are, and I've always been kind of conservative in a very liberal media group. Okay. So I was one of the more conservative ones. I still am. There's a lot of my old media friends that, don't speak to me anymore. But they do. We're friends, but they don't appreciate. But I would say a moderate conservative. It was an independent for a lot of years, but I'm a moderate conservative, I would say. And so my iTalk show is kind of a conservative, a little bit more. We have Fox News on us, so we're a little conservative leaning. But the thing about keeping it kind of, I'm known to be a little sarcastic, and so sometimes my sarcasm, it escapes them. So some of that stuff. And in my news writing, I was always very careful back then. You couldn't tell one side or the other what side I was on. I made sure I was very even, Stephen, but those were the days when journalism was like that, right? Now that I do this radio show, I can be all that I am and I want to be, and I can say kind of what I want, and it's more fun. It's a lot more fun. Yeah. Yeah.
You can talk about extreme stress if you want to.
Yes, I can do what I want, and I can kind of say, like, up here we've been fighting the windmills covering the whole White Mountains, and I know in Utah and New Mexico there's a lot of bills trying to stop windmills everywhere, and yeah, I'm very outspoken on a lot of things, so it's kind of fun. But yeah.
Tell us some of your fun experiences during the pageant days and how you got started, because that's
yeah, that was by accident, because I was in the Future Farmers of America. I'm an Aggie, and I growing up as a child, I was and I hate to if I start to say it, I can kind of lapse into it. I was a stutterer and very dyslexic. So my mom recognized this super early, before they even had names for a lot of these things. And she had a speech therapist for me really, really early. She had like no money, and her and my dad, and they got me a speech therapist and got me on track. And so people that knew me in the early days, they're like, oh my gosh, she's doing TV news. She couldn't talk. And I still will, on this dyslexia, I'll still transpose numbers a lot. So I'm not a very good accountant, not very good with my money. But then the thing is that after I got through all of that, the thing that led me out was the Future Farmers of America. I was in 4-H, and because I had my horses, and I could stand up and I could do livestock judging and dairy judging, and went back to nationals every year. And then I was doing public speaking and became a state officer. And so when I was a state officer for Arizona, state vice president, I travel all over and give speeches. And that's what propelled me into this stuff. So what that meant was I'm in college, and they have this Fiesta Bowl Queen contest. And my girlfriends were getting into it. And all you had to do is write a speech. I wrote a speech, gave a speech, and all of a sudden I'm the Fiesta Bowl Queen. Yeah. So that was weird. My parents are like, you are a queen, really? Yeah. So I never wore makeup before. I put a little bit of makeup on. I had this old bridesmaid's dress, and I'm going down the Fiesta Bowl parade on a giant Fiesta Bowl logo, and it's really slippery. I fell off my chair at the top and went sliding all the way down and landed in the street. They slung me back up on a rope and tied my butt into the seat. So in that parade, yeah, all my stuff was glamorous. It's very much like what's
Miss Congeniality,
Sandra Bullock's movie,
Miss Congeniality.
Oh, yes. I think that was me. So she chases me down. This woman, Donna Riggs Kennedy, is chasing me along the parade. And she goes, "You must get into my pageant." And I'm like, "No, I don't need to be in a pageant. No." And I was trying to avoid her. She gets my girlfriends. And at that time, girls winning the Miss USA pageant were very much like me. I guess that's what she saw. And she's like, "Oh, 5'9", we're gonna get this girl." So all of a sudden, my girlfriends are entering it. I enter it because of this woman. And it was during spring break. We enter it, and I become Miss Arizona. And when I become Miss Arizona, this is the funniest thing. A lady, Plaza 3 Modeling Agency, was one of the judges. And she comes up on stage and she's looking at me like she's annoyed. And because my eyebrows grew together, I'm half Italian, I mentioned, so my eyebrows grew together. I had no makeup on, a maroon bridesmaid's dress, and I had high heels that my girlfriend loaned me. And she looks at me and she said, "Oh, my dear, you are so rough. We have our work cut out for us." And she got closer to me and she goes, "That is one eyebrow." And then she says, back then, you never wear a gown without hosiery. It was like, so they transformed me from there. It was 3 weeks to Miss USA. 3 weeks.
Oh,
And it was crazy. They changed me over. I was such a numb, weird person back at Miss USA. I didn't know how to act. And when I hit preliminary night, I had to walk down 4 flights of stairs in my gown. My heel caught in my gown, and I rolled down those 4 flights of stairs preliminary night. Yeah. Bob Barker, everybody was, it turned into a Carrie movie. I had cracked my head. And luckily the blood was like bad, but it was over my right ear. It wasn't too right in my face. But when I hit the ground, all my little rhinestones are dancing. That's all I remember. And then I don't remember anything. I guess I pushed up, stood up, straightened my dress, and I kept walking, smiling like nothing had happened. If you look at the tape, I have this glazed look, like I'm just gone. And I get to the side, and a former Miss USA grabs me and shakes me and says, Janine. And I come to, and I won't tell you the exact word that popped in my brain, but I was like, "Oh, that wasn't a dream." And I'm just staring at her going, "Oh, wow." And it was bad. So yeah, they stitched me up, and the finals night was the next night, and I was okay. And yeah, it was just pretty, yeah. So I was,
must go on. Wait,
yes. And so I was Miss Congeniality. And the whole year, I will share with you, the whole year, I felt that whole Miss USA year, we lived in New York, and I felt like I was on the outside looking in. I was observing the whole year thinking, this is whacked. This is so weird. People are throwing themselves at you. Can I have your autograph? And you're like, your brain is going, why? I do that. And my brain is going, are you this superficial? It was really it was a good place for me, because it was strange. It was like the Twilight Zone, because I'd never done a pageant before. And I was so not, there were times where I'd get in trouble with Miss Universe Incorporated in New York. They'd call me into the office and say, Janine, in that parade, did you really turn your back on the whole side of the parade? And I go, yeah, I did. Because I was in Mississippi. And back then in 1980, you could go to small towns and there were still people that all African Americans were on one side of the road and whites were on the other. And I was so annoyed. And I'm in the convertible, and I looked over and I'm like, this is so wrong. So I just turned my rear end and I just waved to the one side, the African American side, the whole way. And I turned and I'd give a little buzz, but they got the message. So then I got interviewed at the end, and I said, I just feel like this is really wrong. And like the Dark Ages, why are you guys doing this? It was super sad for me. I didn't expect that in 1980, but that's
no, I wouldn't have expected that either.
So then I got called in, and they said, Janine, you need to I said, I was very nice. I was very polite about everything. And I said, if you want me to go home, I'll go home right now. No, I don't want to go. So,
well, and how wonderful that you could use that platform. And you always do it in such a nice way, because you love people so much. And you honestly, when you are so real and just so vulnerable, we just love you even more. I mean, seeing you at the pageant, I would have definitely voted for you. But she's my girl.
You're sweet. Thank you. Yeah, it was funny. It was good. But it was a good experience for me. You know what I mean? But I know that the reason I'm doing the things I'm doing now are really the women in my life, my mom, my grandmother, great women, and the FFA, my faith, all those good things. The Miss USA thing was really shallow and kind of flaky, but it was a good training ground.
Yeah.
Well, talk a little about the FFA.
Future Farmers of America is one of the greatest organizations ever. And what was neat about it is that because I was an early adapter, it was in the old days, there were very few women in it, but I loved my horses. I loved agriculture so much. And that's what brought me out. I had to stand up and we studied parliamentary procedure. They do that in the Future Farmers of America. And so you have to stand up and you do parliamentary procedure. And I ran for office. And out of all of the boys, the boys elected me to be our chapter president. So I was the first female chapter president. Then I was the first female nominated to be state president. And it was still a little early. So a guy did win and I became vice president. I got elected to be VP and traveled all over the state speaking and that type of thing. But I loved that I had my little business. I raised I would pick up day-old baby calves and raise them to feeder size and sell them. And my mom, and that was my supervised occupational experience program. And my mom, being that she was a nurse, she taught me how to do the lavage tube up their little nose, down their throat, and into their stomach. So whenever they drop with scours, feed them some scour stop. I would haul all hours. I was hauling colostrum from the dairies. And I had 30 calves going at any one time. I had a great business going when I was in high school, wearing my dad's old army jacket, smelling like, you know what, many times getting on the school bus. So the calves were really, really great. That was a good experience. I ran my own little business. My mom had me go to the little bank and I got my first loan for my first few calves, all that stuff. So it was good. Good background.
Wow.
Wow. From the army jacket smelling like a calf.
Yeah.
And
then because through the FFA, you mentioned that our chapter, Gilbert, had the only meat slab. They still have a meat slab. So I became a certified butcher. I learned to cut meat. And that's my best fallback, is that I can always go and cut meat. I'm a butcher. So yeah. And I have a nice scar on my left hand. Yeah. I was not always smooth. I flunked tractor driving, but was able to butcher. Yeah, I did. We were doing a 3-point hookup on this big old huge plow, and I lurched the tractor and it fell over and missed my ag advisor by an inch, his head. I got sent to the library, and so I just got to sit that one out.
So I have to ask, is it just like a problem with reversing things, or
that's what it is? I do not go in. You got me, girl. I do not go in reverse. I'm always going forward.
Oh my God. Are we twins? I cannot go in reverse. I am only in forward. Yes, and I literally will hit anything and everything if you put my car in reverse. And those stupid video things inside the car, everyone's like, just use your mirrors, just use your video. I'm like, are you insane? My brain doesn't work that way. I go forward. If you really want, I can go in reverse if it's large enough area, but you put me in a small area, and thank God I own a collision repair business, because I will hit everything.
There you go.
I won't miss a thing. I'll just hit it all.
Okay, if you're going to hit it, then you just accelerate it and do it right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hit it good. Yeah.
That was so my thing. Why were you going so fast? Well, I figured I was going to hit it.
Oh my gosh, this reminds me.
Don't do anything halfway.
I don't.
Janine, you're making me think about so many times. My husband and I have had so many frustrating moments with me trying to back up a trailer, because we had these, I don't know how many horses were in there, but a whole bunch of horses in this horse trailer. And I'm driving the truck and he's telling me, just back up and, do this thing. And I'm like, and he's signaling to me. First of all, I couldn't always tell what the signal meant. He had, these different things.
Yes.
I don't know what he's doing with his hand.
Yeah.
I'm rolling down my window, trying to hear him over the diesel motor,
Yeah. Yeah, and trailers, if a trailer's smaller, like I did get really good at backing trailers. I'm going to throw this out there. I back a trailer far better than my husband does.
Oh.
Yeah. He'll start trying to back it. I'm like, he's jackknifing our trailer already all over in camp. And I go, do you want me to do that? So, yeah, just because
that is hysterical. So my husband, I finally said, just tell me which way to turn this steering wheel. Just point which way you want me to turn
opposite. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but I have to tell you this other funny story about the trailer. So I can go forward too, just like you, Barbie is saying, forward and me. We go. I can drive a long way. I can go around as long as I can turn it at a gas station. Really hard for me. So I was going up to the reservation. I was taking all this furniture that I had collected for people. I drive down this little road. And I get there and I'm unloading the furniture and then I'm trying to get out. So I started going down and it's a dead end. And I am trying to back this trailer up and it's just jackknifing, constantly jackknifing. And I'm all by myself. There's no cell service, so I can't call Joshua to have him help me. Pretty soon, all of the Native Americans are on their porch watching me. They've all got their chairs. They're sitting on the porch.
They're so entertained.
They are so entertained. I'm laughing my head off because it is so funny to me too. Finally, this man sees me and he says, "Would you like some help?" I'm like, "Please." I mean, they've got their popcorn. They are. And when we got it done and I got turned around, they all waved.
Yeah. That was the best comedy. Forget Comedy Central. That was the best comedy they'd had for weeks.
It was. They all just were laughing.
Yeah, they're like, let's sit here and watch this woman try. Yeah.
This dumb white girl. Oh my goodness. Well, this has been so much fun. I know we need to get you back to your morning show, but thank you so much for being with us, Janine. I am wheezing. My asthma is about to take over.
It's extreme stress. Extreme stress.
Oh, I thought it was sex. Okay.
This was a riot. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
This was so fabulously fun. Thank you for joining us.
Well, you two are wonderful. You guys have a great day and a happy St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patty's Day. All right. Well, it's time then. I'm going to take us out with the great words of Frank King. If you enjoyed this show, please share, please like, please comment, and tell all your friends. If you did not enjoy this show, we hope you have no friends. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. From Unstoppable AF. See you next Monday.
9 o'clock Pacific. 9 o'clock Pacific every Monday. See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, girls.
Bye.